My name's Carole Ritchie. For the last 5 years I've been working as, I suppose the best explanation would be a hypnotherapist. Basically I work with one-to-one clients and help them in whatever way I can using the skills that I've learned over the years. But up until 5 years ago I worked in education, and my last proper job was working as a head teacher of a very large, very successful special school, working with lots of children with disabilities, physical disabilities, as well as mental health issues and learning disabilities. And that's basically the job I was in for most of my adult life. But there was always something about when I did that and how I did it. There was a mystery to me and everybody else. Whether it was making a mental connection with a young person who had no verbal communication, or just knowing what was needed for a particular child, that sort of thing. And I suppose I've always been a little bit odd like that. As a kid, I can remember Mum and Dad looking at each other and saying, she's off again, you know, she's a bit odd. And it was those things where I knew what was coming up around the corner, thinking that we lived in that house that we'd never been to before, and Mum and Dad were like, oh, she's off again, you know, and all those sorts of things. But also having this sense that there was something or somebody there that at the worst times in my life just pulled me out of trouble, or gave me the right direction, or told me what to do, gave me some sort of special insight. I never knew quite what it was, searched for the answers for a long time. And people told me, oh, that's your guide, and this is science, you know, lots of explanations for this person or this thing that was out there. And then when the last couple of years that I worked as a head teacher, I spent most of my time, almost all of my time really, in my office, working one-to-one with either a member of staff, a pupil, a parent, somebody. What I was doing was being a therapist. And so at the end of that 2 years, when I took early retirement, I decided this is what I'm going to do. This is how I want to spend the rest of my life, trying to help as many people as I can and use this voice, sense, whatever it was, for the benefit of other people. So that's what I did, and decided to do some more training. Met some absolutely wonderful people, and the strange thing was, these people seemed to pop up in front of me. You know, I get an email out of the blue from somebody I haven't heard from for years about a conference. Go in the conference, and there in front of me is a person, yeah, I want to train with that person. And all these things just seem to fall into place and happen. And then the last bit of the jigsaw puzzle, and it really is like a jigsaw puzzle, all fitting together, was just over a year ago, Anne Jirsch's face popped up in front of me on the internet, and the opportunity to train with her and learn about future life progression. And up until that point, I'd not really heard a great deal about this. It was something that was out there and I dipped into, but didn't really know an awful lot about. So I thought, yeah, that's really fascinating to me. I've always had this sense of belonging to somewhere in the past and all those sorts of things. So I came along and did the first course in FLP, Future Life Progression. And that's when the jigsaw puzzle started to slot into place. So basically, all these things that had happened to me in the past were just things that were almost like an apprenticeship, if you like, for me to do what I'm going to do now. And that, you know, that sense of that thing, that person, that voice, whatever it was that on those occasions said to me, this is what you need to do, or you need to go there now, or no, don't go there, and this is how you deal with that. I actually do believe now that that's me, but from the future. Having visited myself way up into the future in a future life, I now believe that that connection has always been there. Or is it that I made that connection last year, so it goes back in time? Oh, I don't know. But whatever it is, we don't understand enough about time, do we? You know, we've been measuring time, albeit with different instruments. We've been measuring time in the same way for a long, long time now, for thousands of years, without really, up until recently, looking at what does it all, you know, is it linear? Is it, you know, is every hour the same as every other hour? Is every day the same as every other day? Well, no, it's not, is it? You know, there's times when stuff goes really, really fast, and sometimes it's actually not as we've been measuring it for thousands of years. So with that in mind, I now know why those jigsaw puzzles have all been presenting themselves different times, different places, so that at that point in my life now, it can all come together so that I can start using that time travel for the benefit for other people. And it's amazing. I've had some fantastic results. I mean, everything from somebody finding their ideal place to live, making their relationship better, you know, their career, absolutely everything. And one of the most recent things, and comes to mind because I've just sort of seen this morning the fruit of this person's success. There was a young man that came to see me about 3 or 4 years ago for some therapy, anxiety, this sort of thing. And then earlier this year, he contacted me again and said, can I come and talk to you about how you can help me again? Yeah, fine. And when he turned up, he said, I don't need therapy anymore. He said, but I think what I need is some sort of coaching. He said, I'm just at a crossroads in my life. I've got a very successful career in IT, but I'm bored. I love my sport that I do. He's a marksman. He does sort of Olympic grade shooting, this sort of thing. And I love my hobby as a photographer, he said, but there's something missing and I want to do something else. I want my career to be more fulfilling, more useful, this sort of thing. So I said, I have just the thing for you. Let's take you forward 5 years into your future and see what would be best for you. So this is what we did an FLP session. And he saw himself combining all of these skills into a new profession, basically working as a photographer, but specialising in going along to sporting events like shooting or, pop festivals, all sorts of things. And then using his skills in IT to manipulate those photographs to make them works of art, really, rather than just photographs. And he saw himself being really, really successful at this and doing, a little bit of other things on the side, not shooting that was really interesting, actually. He saw himself not doing shooting as a sport anymore because it was so out of favour in 5 years' time in this country, and nobody owned a gun in their home anymore, which is really interesting. I wonder if that will come to pass. But he's actually brought this into fruition now. He had his first gig a couple of weeks ago where he was asked by a sportsman to go along and do some promotional shots for him. Absolutely fantastic pictures, really good. And he came and did some photographs for me last week when I did a presentation, a workshop, and I saw those this morning. So all those things he saw for 5 years into his future, they're happening now. They're here and now. And it's about having those signs as well to keep you on the right road, I think. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, my husband, I did some FLP with my husband because he said he needed to make some big decisions. He was at a bit of a crossroads, sort of professionally, that sort of thing. And he knew he had to make changes in his business. For instance, one of the things that he had to do was find a new accountant. And we did an FLP session. He saw himself, not changing profession. That's a relief, money, not changing profession, staying in the same profession, but being, even more successful. And I asked him to ask his future self, that really successful person in 5 years' time, for a sign, something that would make him know for certain that he was on the right road, he was going in the right direction. And he said, his exact word was gold. And he sort of went like this. And I said, gold as in gold jewellery? No, just gold in... And I said, gold in what? He said, I don't know, nothing, just gold in... And it was all sort of very vague, and then we forgot about it. And then last week, he was going off to meet a prospective accountant. He sort of met a few of them, and no. And he phoned me up, all really, really excited. He said, had the appointment with the accountant? I said, how did it go? He said, fantastic, but I've got to tell you this. Guess what his surname is? Goldin. No G, Goldin. So that's a sign to show him, yes, this wonderful future that he saw. Yes, it's possible. Yes, I know how to get it. And, all right, some people might say it's our imagination. But how do you then explain that he got that sign and that person popped up in his life now? There's got to be something more to it, isn't there? I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out. and the other fantastic thing about all of this is, Anne's so supportive. She's a fantastic mentor. She's the most unselfish mentor I've ever met in my life. And the sisterhood, brotherhood, colleague, support that we all give each other is gold dust. It really is. So together, we'll find out.